Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time right here with the Adapt 2030 channel. Going to start you off with some gardening. Tomato companion planting. Fair way, no way. Biometric surveillance in the store. Ukraine planting plunging 11%. Our map here, Ukraine 3 billion, big dot. Runaway interest rates, hyperinflation, banks buying gold. This will be your trigger, $5,200 this week, and we're off to the all-time high races as NatWest reduces crypto to $5,000 a month transaction period. We care about your safety, but they also care about the abundant supply of the poor because the rich depend on it. So dollar store pulling the eggs, too expensive. North American Trade Union, they told you it wouldn't happen, but it's happening. So let's take a moment of Zen and appreciate the things we have around us before the world really gets complicated and crazy. Well, we're halfway to the ZY right now, so let's enjoy it. And much talk about how much farmland is truly owned by China or Bill Gates. Well, here's the numbers. Countries who own the most acres of U.S. ag land. Canada at number 1, 12.8 million. And we can go down through the top 10 of Netherlands, Italy, UK, Germany, Portugal, France, Denmark, Luxembourg, Ireland, rounding us out at 760,000 acres. Bill Gates owns as much land as China at about 250,000 acres each, according to the Land Report. Thanks for putting that together for us. In comparison to Canada, it is a drop of a drop, is it not? Speaking of drops, we're talking about fertilizer. If you're going to companion plant this year, the benefits using interspersed other species of plants to drive away the pests: basil, marigolds, garlic, onions, parsley, asparagus, thyme, and borage. Oh wait, calendula and nasturtiums. Nasturtiums are edibles. Calendula keeps dogs away too. I know that for a fact. We plant that to keep our dogs away. So you can screen grab this here and away you go. Spring planting is upon us. Get ready for it because your choices in the supermarkets are going to be relegated to scrappy produce or being biometrically identified. What? Fair way. For me, I'd say no way. Because look at that. They're going to take biometric identifiers when you walk in the store, such as eye scans, voice prints, facial recognition. Not on the list, but it sure is there. And this is the beginning of it, the digital rationing cards. Of course you're going to be. What do you think about that standing 6 feet apart out in front of a supermarket and the waiting in line to get in was all about? Pre-training. Now they're going to get you what you're looking at, what you're talking about, what you pick up off the shelf, what your face looks like. Can they put a name with your purchase? Although the credit card company doesn't have any data, it's supposed to be salted and spun. You're just walking in with your face and then swiping a card. Of course they're going to match those two together. Wonder what's going to happen with that information. Oh, you bought 4 tomatoes instead of 2. Over to planting this year. It's all about the food. Southern Hemisphere crop loss is now being registered. Argentina down 50%. And now we look at Ukraine. Is going to drop another 11% compared to the nearly 50% off from last year. And this number will continue to decline, especially when they see the damage in the fields from the conflict. And we see Russia reintroducing a temporary ban on rapeseed exports, otherwise known as canola. And Libya now starting to really kick off importing 86% of all of its wheat from Russia. Well, it looks like that's going to be protected as a corridor there, isn't it? Have you started to notice an increase in the appearance of wrinkles, fine lines, bags under your eyes, or other unusual signs of aging? It may be more than just stress. Wrinkles and other marks of aging are one of the top signs that your collagen levels are low. Whether you're in your 20s or your 90s, you can experience the healthy aging effects collagen has on your skin with the help of this multi-collagen powder. I want you to try it as well and experience the amazing benefits it's had on me. Take 51% off your order and receive some special bonuses with that before the spring sale ends. Go to healthwithadapt2030.com. That's healthwithadapt2030.com. Get ready to feel your best this summer. Order now and I'll let you see my goats. And now on with the video. World wheat map of exports. Ukraine, I wanted to show you that one, right? 3 billion. That is a very large dot to go offline. As well, Argentina, they're going to subtract 50%, be around 1.2 billion. Wherever you look, there's losses that are starting to mount up. And you have to ask, is it a distraction for the economy because of rising food prices? Or is it rising food prices that now need to be distracted away from using an economic downturn? Speaking of which, the dollar store says we can't stock eggs anymore. The prices are so high. Once costs are more in line with historical levels, we'll put eggs back into the dollar store. But for now, you're looking at the $5 store for the eggs. So whatever it is, and there's also a limit of one. You can see the sign right there. So what is this all about? Central banks buying gold, net purchases highest ever. Well, when you're going to be starting a new gold-backed currency, it seems like a lot of central banks are going to be on board with that. So far, more than 120 countries have applied to join the BRICS currency, which will be a basket of pledged natural resources and gold, precious metals backing the currency like the US dollar used to do, but not anymore. China buying another 25 tons of gold in February. That's the official record what's released. Obviously, it's going to be 4 to 5 times higher. China not really forthcoming. But a lot of conjecture is whatever you see as the number multiplied by 5, and that's the real number that China is buying. Singapore boosting its gold reserves by 30%. Yep, they're part of the clearinghouses for the BRICS firms. Imagine that, right along with Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore. Now, if we're looking at gold, talking about gold, and I love this stack here. Ooh, makes me feel good looking at all the shiny in this one. As was quoted, when we see this week coming up, if there's a real banking credit crisis, gold should be $50 to $100 per ounce more than it was, cresting toward record highs within this week. If it is, if they had that emergency meeting in the Fed and if this goes up, you're going to watch it to go to all-time highs. And when it does, it's going to break away and never come back. That's not financial advice. Which brings me to the quote of the day: the comfort of the rich depends on the abundant supply of the poor. And I guess the rich are going to get richer as we move through this next segment of life now, isn't it? And speaking of banks, let's move over to NatWest, National Westminster Bank. A major retail and commercial bank in the UK. It's part of the Royal Bank of Scotland group, which renamed itself in 2020 NatWest. Now look at this. They're just so concerned about you to help you keep your money safe from possible scams. We're going to set limits on payments. We identify going to cryptocurrency exchanges. From March 16th, we'll limit something called faster payments made to these exchanges, £1,000 a day max, or $5,000 in a month-long period. If your money's locked up there and you want to withdraw, too bad. You just got capital controlled. And I thought, I want to double check this myself. So I went right over to the natwest.com website and go right into the cryptocurrency, expand. And sure enough, the exact same quote that was highlighted, buried back on page 46, suddenly comes to light, doesn't it? It's really interesting how the capital controls are already in place. Now, this Operation Choke Point 2.0 that is ongoing in the United States with the CFTC, limiting on-roads and off-ramps of crypto conversion into US dollar. They're trying to squeeze out every possible competitor to the central bank digital currencies. Looks like England and the UK are right on with it. And that brings us right into the North American Union. We were told that would never happen. Bait and switched again. We were told the CBDC technology would be years, plural, way into the distance because the technology was not mature enough, yet here we're rolling it out in July. Bait and switch 2.0. Which brings me to all aboard the North American Union Express. Mexico Daily reporting on this one. U.S. approving a merger. First, Canadian-U.S. Mexican Railroad. Going across all three nations there. Backed by what? We are unsure. You're about here is where we sit today with the petrodollar. It's all moved to the petro-yen. And if you haven't seen last week's news, there's a lot about it. Andy Schechtman is the person I am watching who I found knows the most about it. You're going to want to check him out. He works over at Miles Franklin, knows all about the Belt and Road Initiative, how the petro-yuan, the peace broker deal between Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq. We're going hyperinflating. You should scratch out where it says Federal Reserve note into former global reserve currency. And we could spend that $6 million lift ticket because the coldest winter in the Central Coast in Los Angeles since 1978 and 79 triggers massive snowfalls records. Unbelievableness, if that's such a word. I looked through a lot of these images over the years doing the channel, but when I saw this one, I was thinking, that's multiple floors of a building deep there. Bear Valley, Tahoe. And if you look at some of the snows came down in Tahoe as well. And remember those in California trapped by the snows writing help in the snow. I'm surprised more roofs didn't collapse and more cave-ins didn't happen. But Solitude, 623 inches, and then a whopping 699 inches, more yet to come with the new arc storm. So I am one of those guys that would actually divide 699 by 12 to see with 12 inches to a foot. It's 58.25 feet. That's crazy, almost 60 feet of snow. Looking at extremes, remember the blizzards and cold that wiped out a lot of people's blooms here. Pulled this back from March 20th, which is just less than a week ago. Locations surpassing all-time record coldest temperatures ever. Notice a lot of those were centered in the U.S. Southeast, way down to Louisiana coastal. We got blasted here in East Tennessee. And as we scream the mercury toward 80 degrees Fahrenheit, let's jump back to 1945, Washington Post. Mercury hitting 87 degrees Fahrenheit for the hottest St. Patrick's Day in D.C. history. And this is the perfect description of it's the hottest year ever, it's the warmest year ever, the planet's gonna cook. Word soup, choking the voice box. And for those of you that do eat every day, would you think about some storable foods, emergency food supply, My Patriot Supply, and Adapt 2030, right there at foodwithadapt2030.com. That link's in the description box below. With the inflation, non-availability, breakdowns in supply chains, your first line of defense in a changing world is food and water. Got to have those calories so you can continue to think straight and keep your body functional. 2,000 calories a day. Please join us every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight, Mini Ice Age Conversations live radio program. Streaming any of these platforms that you see here, libertylinks.io/solar minimum. 2 hours at a time talking about the same issues, trying to make sense of the world and forecast out a wider picture where we're all moving through as the world and the dollar resets. I do think if you're watching, hope you got something out of the video. We're all going through this together, so it's going to be solutions that we come up with all together. And that lithograph that I have in the back there, that is Cairo 1918, which I picked up in an estate sale yesterday for $2. That's a bargain. Bye for now.